How's it going, ladies and Bruce's? I'm Bob Sixkilla, and today we're going to be checking out a game called, hang on, I've got it written down, Lay a Beauty to Rest, The Darkness Peach Blossom Spring. We're going to have to shorten that because it's quite the mouthful, but it's a Chinese visual novel. It's a mystery romance thriller set in ancient China, and it's been out on Steam actually for about a year now, and it has overwhelmingly positive reviews. However, it only just got an English translation about 3 days ago, so they reached out to me to see if I would be interested in playing it to help market the English version, which has just released, because it looks like it's doing really well and it's beautiful. It's also phenomenally large. Like, I don't think I've ever downloaded a visual novel. This was 9 gigs. 9 gigs. That's insane. I mean, was Nirvana Initiative even 9 gigs? Maybe, but, you know, that's pretty crazy, man. So, I'm expecting a lot. I have high hopes. I've also got high hopes for the translation. But we'll see how that goes. Let's jump in, shall we? We may turn this into a full series, depending on what you guys think. We will see. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I walked in the mountains. The mobile phone just ran out of power and there was little water and food left. After walking for a long time, the scenery in my eyes is nothing but only forest. The mountains have various terrains, so I need to keep balance while walking, otherwise it's easy to fall. I walked very hard all the way, but luckily I never encountered any wild animals. I see, so if that's the sort of translation level, we're looking at sort of Vigilant Villa sort of level, which is not bad, not bad. I'm an explorer, and the reason why I ventured into the mountains and forests is to explore the meaning of life. That's how I would justify for myself. But in fact, I'm just a desperate man. Last month I lost my love and career, so it never rains but it pours. True. Hang on, I'm gonna just turn up the speed if I can. Do we have options here? Just turn up the word speed, just a tad. Now I want to find a utopia and stay alone. The mountains and forests where no one shows interest are perfect for me. There is a timer in the pocket. The timer has set the countdown. The countdown lasts for 24 hours and it will ring when the countdown is over. Before entering the mountains, I made a rule for myself. After the bell rings, I will need to start my return journey. Now that the timer is past 8 hours, there are 16 hours left. Oh, wait a minute. Will I still be able to return back from the same way after 16 hours? Well, let me find a way out right now. We're panicking already. Huh? While I'm walking forward, suddenly a strange smell comes. A strange smell from flowers flies in the air and mixes with an earthy smell. The earthy smell reminds me that I'm actually near a water source. As usual, walking alongside the river, I could finally reach a populated place. It'll get me out. I pushed aside those intersected leaves, rushed out of the dense trees, and finally stepped on the soft soil. Sure enough, I found water. A bigger surprise. What is such fantasy land in front of me? Wow. I mean, the backgrounds and the sakura petals and everything, that's pretty stunning, man. It is pretty impressive. A shallow and crystal clear stream appears, and a wood full of peach trees and blossom stays on the side. Pink peach flowers blossom everywhere in my eyes, falling from the treetops when the wind blows. Most of the fallen petals stopped on the muddy rocks alongside the riverbanks, and few drifted in the stream. They swirl along the stream and drifted towards an unknown source. Gosh. Strange. The current season, autumn, should not be the one for peach blossoms. With a little doubt, I walked toward the end of the stream. In the end there is a hill, which is not high, but just enough to block the sunset. There's a narrow hole in front of the hill, just enough for one person to pass through. What could be in the cave? This dark and deep cave makes me feel a little uneasy. However, driven by curiosity, I decided to go and say, oh my god, are we about to get isekai'd? Enter or enter? Whew, go inside and have a look. I took a deep breath and stepped into the cave. The cave is a little bit narrow and short. I lowered my head, turned my body sideways, and finally squeezed into the hole. It's too dark. The darkness blocked my view. So I put my hand on the wet stone wall and walked forward step by step. The land inside the cave is not too muddy or smooth, but it feels very solid to step on. Beginning with one tentative step and being followed by another, I walked cautiously. I was afraid that if I suddenly missed a step, I would fall into a trap. It is said that, in order to prevent prey from invading, ancient people who lived in the caves would set traps at some entrances. I need to watch my feet at all times. At the same time, walking in such a dark place, I also need to worry about being attacked by snakes, insects, rats, and ants. If misfortune happens, being bitten by a poisonous snake, it would probably have to confess here. I would probably have to confess here. Well, you mean we'll die. Huh? After about 100 paces, I suddenly found a weak light in the distance ahead. Sure enough, this hole leads somewhere. As I walked forward, the space in the cave became wider, and I could gradually see the light source at the hole. Suddenly, a strange smell mixed with slightly peach blossoms made me feel uncomfortable. The smell is mind-numbing. I quickened my pace. The space in the cave grew bigger and the light ahead became brighter. An orange light is slowly filling my vision. I rushed out of the cave and stepped on the solid ground outside. The wind of peach blossoms, fragrance, came to my face. A world I had never seen before came into view. There's a town in here? In this cave? Is this like a journey to the center of the earth? Maybe. After walking out of the cave, I stood on the cliff. At this time I was shocked by the beautiful scenery in front of me, and I was stunned for a long time. I never imagined such an open world on the other side of the cave. I saw a village hidden in the mountains. This village is unlike any I've seen before. Man, look at those petal particle effects. Man, the particle effects are fantastic. There are no poles, no cement houses, no colourful billboards, and no small supermarkets with sundries. Sundries. There are only flat farmlands, staggered muddy stone paths, and simple plain houses. As the sun set, the village hidden in the mountains is quiet and peaceful. An aperture opened on the mount, from which light seemed to be emitted. After several tens of steps, the way led to vast spaciousness. The land was level and expanded. Houses were spread out in good order. Goodly farms, fair ponds, and mulberry and bamboo thickets were to be seen everywhere. I speak out the sentence that I almost forgot. These are the sentences from the Peach Blossom Spring that I recited in middle school. Over the years, the knowledge learned has long been forgotten. But when I saw it, this time awakened this dust-laden memory. No way. Can it be said that this is the legendary Peach Blossom Spring? Who are you? Suddenly, there was a voice in my ear. I turned around and a young girl appeared in front of me. Oh, I should mention that it is also voiced in Chinese. I turned the voices off like I usually do to do the voices. Yeah, if you're playing it in Chinese, it's got full voice acting as well. It seems like she is 16 or 17 years old. She dresses in an ancient costume of the Qin or Han dynasties, with long black hair pouring down her back and pure eyes looking at me curiously. What a beautiful girl. There are many types of beauty. Her beauty is pure and fresh, like peach blossoms. Hello, I came in from outside. I pointed to the cave behind me. Excuse me, where is this place? I asked the girl doubtfully. As a modern man, it makes me a little uneasy to come here suddenly. The girl blushed slightly, seemed nervous, and didn't answer my question immediately. She looked at me timorously? Okay. As if she were judging whether I could be trusted. This is the Peach Blossom Spring, guest. Why are you here? After a brief silence, she summoned the courage to speak to me. The word, "This is the Peach Blossom Land," said by her, made me a little shocked. Originally, it was just a guess, but after her confirmation, it might really be the legendary Peach Blossom Spring. This land has been isolated from the outside world for many years. The people here follow ancient lifestyles, induced by the dress and the behaviour of this girl in front. In the Lost Mountains, I unexpectedly found the legendary Peach Blossom Land. Now she asked me why I came here. I should not be too honest with the people here, when I didn't figure out the details yet. Just make up a reason to answer it. I lost my way in the deep mountains, as if I'd been guided in the dark, so I came here unconsciously. I see. It seems that the god Yu has guided you here. Sorry, apologies for the Chinese pronunciation again. Whoever comes as a guest, let me take you to the village. I gave an ambiguous answer, but to my surprise she immediately showed her confidence to my statement. She is too simple. Harsh? Trust me like that? Besides, what is the god she's talking about? Yes, please take me to the village. I decided not to think too much. I need to follow her into the village first, so I could collect more information to find the answer. Oh, I suddenly remembered. I didn't know her name yet. By the way, my name is Ji Ming. Would you mind telling me your name? My name is Xuanghua. She told me with a shy smile. Xuanghua. I recited the name several times and remembered it in my heart. Xuanghua and I walked down the mountain from the high slope where the cave is located to the village. Along the way, I observed the environment of the Peach Blossom Spring as I walked, and occasionally chatted with Xuanghua. The village here is called Huyu Village, which is relied on the hill with an obviously ancient architectural style. The houses in the village are made of loess and coach grass, without traces of chemical processing, and are built with ancient technology. At this time it was dusk, and everywhere in the village was covered with a warm, light yellow. After walking to the village, I met the villagers of Huyu Village. The villagers are men and women, elders and kids. They were doing their own things originally. But when Xuanghua took me to the village, they quickly turned their attention to me. The goddess returns. Who's that next to you? However, after a little thought, their behaviour is understandable. Everyone wears the same ancient costumes, and I only wear the modern costume. I'm an alien to them. When people in Hanfu appear in the subway, others might not stop to look at them curiously. When I looked at them, some would look away in fear, while others would nod and smile in a friendly way. Oh, there are also some people who are wary of me. A tall, stout young man came up. He stared at me with caution. Hello, I'm from outside. Outsider? Why are you here? The young man in front of me was not friendly. I watched the messages that came out of him. His skin is darker than that of the other villagers, proving he'd been working outside for a longer time. His fingers are rough and calloused, proving that his hands often grab some kind of tool. I hope he doesn't spend too much time grabbing his tool. His feet are wrapped with fabrics mixed with grass clippings and scratches, providing that he often walks in the mountains. It seems that he is a young, experienced hunter. Da Nu. He's not a bad guy. Xuanghua spoke for me. Da Nu. Whoever comes as a guest, it would be impolite to judge him without consideration. An old man, leaning on crutches, walked up to the young man named Da Nu. He looked at the old man and received a friendly smile given from him. Both Xuanghua and the old man said so, leading Da Nu to withdraw some of his hostility. Excuse me, who are you? I asked politely. I'm Kun Zhang, the village head. The boy next to me is Da Nu. He is a hunter in the village. I was a little rude just now. How would I call you, my distinguished guest? My name is Ji Ming, and I'm guided by the god Huyu. I always felt that I can find something here. I see. If you want to find something, you can stay here for a few days. Thank you, Kun Zhang. Oh? Not only Xuanghua, but after Kun Zhang listened to my side of the story, he also wanted to keep me, to stay unexpectedly. The people here are very simple and hospitable, except this guy. He's too busy handling his tool. If I were a bad person, it would be very dangerous to let me into the village so simply, right? You must be a bad person to even consider that in the first place, surely. It would never even cross my mind. The hunter named Da Nu is an exception. You might assume that I'm a bad guy. You're new here. We were supposed to show you around the village, to know about it. However, unfortunately, it'll be night soon. Before night, the villagers will set up a feast of wine and chicken. I wonder if you're interested in attending. Hell yeah! Oh, it's hard to refuse. That's trouble for me. Will you come along? I looked at Xuanghua. The Peach Blossom Festival is coming in a few days. I'm going to rehearse the sacrificial dance. Uh-oh. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't like sacrificial. Using that word always does not bode well. Well, I can show you the village tomorrow. It's good, I can follow Xuanghua around the village tomorrow. At dusk, I had dinner with the villagers at Kun Zhang's home. According to Kun Zhang, in their village, it is very common to visit each other for dinner. Every evening, many families will hold grand feasts to invite other villagers to eat. One more toast, come and drink. You should try this dish cooked by me, it's delicious. I want to eat this. I want that piece of mutton. Help me with it. The feast held at Kun Zhang's house is very rich with all kinds of meat. The taste was okay for me, but it was a little light without any sauce. Because I was a valuable visitor from outside, I soon became the core of the feast. The hospitality of the villagers made me put down my guard. I started drinking with them. Come on, cheers! Good. I drank a glass of wine. This wine is very special and sweet. It should be the kind of rice wine brewed in the countryside. Ji Ming, which generation of emperor of Qin dynasty is outside right now? Shi Huangdi died many years ago, and since then there have been many dynastic changes. Many years ago? How many years? More than 2,000 years. The villagers were a little surprised, as they heard that more than 2,000 years had passed since they left. They began to discuss it in a low voice. Okay, young man. What does the outside look like? How is it different from here? There are many things in the outside world that are not available here, such as automobiles, televisions, mobile phones, movies. Automobiles? Televisions? What are those? An automobile can take people to many places. It's just like a cow and horse, but it is lifeless. Strange. How do you move without life? It's complicated to explain. Internal combustion engine. I found it difficult to explain the outside world to the villagers, whether it is technology or history, which could not be explained in short. While I was telling them, I was constantly observing their reactions. Their expectant reaction was not quite staged. At the same time, their statements didn't reveal any doubts. Could it be they've been living here in isolation for more than 2,000 years? There's one more thing. It is reasonable to say that after so long, language has evolved continuously to various ways. Why can we still communicate without obstacles? Alright, Ji Ming will live here in the village for a while. If you guys want to ask, there'll be plenty of opportunities. He looked out the window when he finished the words. Unconsciously, the sky outside the window is a little dark. It's almost nightfall. We've had enough. Let's call it a day. Kun Zhang put down his chopsticks. So did the rest of the villagers. Before I left, Kun Zhang stopped me with a slightly serious expression. Ji Ming, oh my dear Ji Ming, you're new here, and there is one thing I must remind you of. What is it? There is a rule in the village that you must lock the door at night and never go out. At night there will be mountain ghosts. Mountain goats? After the evening feast, Kun Zhang took me to the hut that they'd arranged for me. The hut is inconspicuous, in a small corner of the north side of the village. The layout of the room is simple: a short bed, a wooden basin, a stone pot, and a wooden frame for hanging clothes. By the way, in addition to these ordinary furnishings, there's also a small stone statue in the house. The statue is very strange and looks like a god in human form. The lower part is wrapped with leaves of peach blossoms. Is this a Buddha or Nuwa? Before the Han Dynasty, Buddhism was not introduced to China, so it's not possible that the statue is a Buddhist deity. It's probably what they call the god Hu Yu. I put down the statue in my hand. At the same time, my eyes unconsciously glance out the window. I want to go out for a walk. However, Kun Zhang warned me that there would be mountain ghosts at night. As a newly arrived guest, I didn't want to be disliked for not obeying the rules. Tonight, it's better to stay inside. Let's take a break. I put my hands behind my head as pillows and lay leisurely on the bed, thinking about something. I couldn't fall asleep, so I go out for a walk. This may be a favourable turn for me. Recalling my early years, it can be said that life is hard. 3 years ago, I dropped out of college in high spirits and wanted to support myself by writing. I wrote manuscripts for 2 years and then submitted to various publishers or platforms. Nevertheless, no editor has taken a fancy to my works. While my career was frustrating, my girlfriend, who had a relationship with me for many years, also broke up with me. At that time, she invited me to the restaurant where we'd had our first date. She accepted my gift perfunctorily, with a frosted face and no words. I asked her what was wrong and she said that she wanted to break up. She felt that I'd never shown my heart to her, nor would I be by her side at the critical moment. More importantly, she can't see any future in me. Well, I'm a real loser. No wonder I want to go deep into the mountains. Perhaps when I first entered the mountains, besides the purpose of fighting myself, I also had the idea of ending my life. But it's a little weird. Why, I can't remember why my ex looks like. My memory became strangely unreal. What does she look like? I muttered to myself, recalling her appearance, and took the timer out of my pocket. The remaining time of the timer shows 15 hours and 30 minutes. Huh? Not quite, is it? Before entering the Peach Blossom Spring, I glanced at the timer, which showed the remaining time was 16 hours. Now I feel that more than 5 hours have passed, but the timer has only passed 30 minutes. It's broken. There are a lot of things to think about. Kun Zhang warned me not to go out at night, but I really don't want to sleep like this. Next, what to do? Man, I can't. I'm not going out. I'll get in trouble. Save. Save. Think of nothing and go to sleep. Be a good boy and go to sleep. Oops. It's my first day. I might not break the rules here. I would think nothing. Just empty my mind and hopefully fall asleep. Lying flat on the bed, I imagine myself lying in a boundless grassland. Relax my whole body from fingers. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I silently recite the words related to hypnotism in my mind. Although I don't remember where I heard these words, I don't want to think too much about them. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I opened my eyes and rolled over. What came into view were a small wooden cabinet, a stone pottery pot, a clothes hanger, and a strange stone statue. There was a musty smell of thatch and sackcloth in the house. I had a good sleep yesterday. I pushed the door open. I can't open my eyes because of the dazzling sunshine. The fog has dispersed. As the time is approaching noon, people of the village almost got up. Not far away, a villager was moving wood, while another villager seemed to be cutting and preparing firewood. When they saw me, they greeted me warmly. Gee Ming, you got up so early. Did you sleep well last night? Didn't you say it was almost noon? How was that early? It's good. Well, where can I wash my face? Go ahead, 3 houses. There's a well where you can wash your face after drawing water. I walked around the hut for more than a minute and came to the well. A wooden barrel was placed beside the well, and a wooden rope was hung on the upper end of the well. I went to the well, held the rope, and then lowered the rope little by little to let the barrel sink. The barrel dwindled in my view and sank into the darkness at the bottom of the well. The barrel has been floating on the surface because of buoyancy. It doesn't seem to sink. Because living in the city before, I had no experience of drawing water. I thought it was simple, but it was actually a little bit hard. I only need to put down a piece of wood hanging with a rope to press down the barrel floating on the surface. I thought so and began to shake the rope. Gee Ming, it's not okay to draw water like this. I turned around and find Shuanghua stood behind me. Good morning, Shuanghua. Well, morning. She nodded shyly, as if she were not used to saying good morning. Gee Ming, if you want it to sink, you need to shake it from side to side and throw it hard in the opposite direction of the wall. Once Shuanghua looked at the barrel floating in the well, she knew the trouble I was in. She explained the method to me patiently. Okay, I'll try. I nodded and wanted to try it immediately. Following her instructions, I first pulled the barrel a little higher than the surface, shook it from side to side and finally threw it in the opposite direction, to the wall. As a burble sound came out, the barrel was filled with water. It worked. I pulled the heavy barrel up slowly. I quickly held some water in my hands and washed my face. Briefly arranging my hair and collar, I poured the remaining water into the canal. Shuanghua has been standing beside me, quietly watching the whole process of washing face with curiosity. Does everyone outside wash like this? She asked curiously. Not like that, it's rare for us to use the well, but we use the sink instead. I answered as I shook the water stains off my hands. The sink is... She got me to ask, how do I explain a sink to an ancient person? Although it's only a small sink, it combines many modern elements, sewer design, automatic sensors, and temperature controllers, which is very troublesome to explain clearly. However, it's easy for her to understand it in general. A sink is like a wooden basin, with a carved wooden snake hanging from its edge. As long as you reach over, the snake will spit out water. I explained to her as I gestured with my hands. Oh, I got it. Shuanghua is thoughtful and seems to be full of expectations to see a real sink. However, if one day she sees a real sink, she may be disappointed. I doubt it, man. I think if an ancient person saw a sink, they'd be really wowed, you know? Just water, just like that. After I washed my face, Shuanghua took me to the Peach Blossom Spring and told me about the village. There are more than 230 households in the village, with 3 to 5 people in each household, totaling more than 900 people. Weaving and cooking are generally done by women, while hunting, farming and logging are done by men. Elders who are physically fit also work, and children who will learn to help when they're in their teens. That is to say, a villager of my age works every day. Yes, lazy people would be discriminated by others. Wow. It seems as if I want the villagers to accept me, I'll have to participate in some village work. Since I'm living and eating in the village, doing nothing is not good. Shuanghua, I want to learn to work. I said what I thought to Shuanghua. What I just said is for the villagers. Ji Ming is a guest. In fact, there's no need to work. And tell her, okay, I want to do more for everyone's hospitality. And I'm interested in it. Take me to see it. Okay, let's go to the farmland. Shuanghua accepted my choice and took me to watch the villagers work first. My goddess, there you are. Ah, who's the one next to you? Shuanghua and I walked to the farmland. 2 villagers were weeding, and when they saw us, they came up curiously. Ji Ming was a visitor to the Peach Blossom Spring yesterday. I'm showing him around. Hey guys. I greeted the villagers in a friendly way. Ji Ming, these are Uncle Zhong and Aunt Zhong. They are Da Nu's parents. Oh no, Da Nu? I have an impression of the name. Da Nu is the only son of my family. He's about the same age as you. He's a hunter in the village. You should have seen him when you arrived in the village. He mentioned you yesterday. Oh, I remember now. When I first arrived at the village, it was a black and thin young man who was very wary of me. He should be Da Nu. He is now hunting in the mountains to the north. If you're interested, you can go to the mountains with him tomorrow. Good. To be honest, I'm really interested in hunting, and I can try it. With the development of modern technology, there are fewer hunters outside. Hunting has become a very new thing. By the way, Uncle Zhong, I may go hunting tomorrow, but I want to help you today. I see you're doing farm work. Is there anything I can do for you? Ji Ming, you're a guest. How could you? Yes, young man. You'd better go hang out with the goddess and leave us here. Shuanghua, would you mind waiting for me? Well, that's okay. Uncle and Aunt, it's like this. I hope I can assimilate into the village so that I can be treated as a member of the village rather than an outsider. Just let me help with the farm work for a while. Fine. Come and help us plough the soil. There is an iron plough behind the farmhouse. Please plough the soil within an acre. Good. I quickly ran all the way to the farmhouse, got the iron plough and turned back. It's fast, Ji Ming. Do you know how to plough the soil? Da Nu's father looked at me with a smile, as if to guide me to turn over the soil. In fact, I really don't have any practical experience of farm work, but in my memory I'm a person who likes literature and history. I've read Aliv's History, written by Liv Buwei, the Prime Minister of Qin, which mentions knowledge of farming. I should show my knowledge of agriculture, or should I become more humble and pretend to know nothing about farming? Listen to guidance, I would suggest. I'm going to save because there's a choice. And you know how I do. Listen to guidance. I don't know how to plough. Could you give me some instructions? I decided not to show off my knowledge in front of experts after a short consideration. Just listen first. Well, it's not really difficult. You need to use a plough to test the softness of the soil before you turn the soil. Just loosen the hard soil. Don't shovel too deep, letting the roots of the crops be damaged. Please do it first, and if you encounter any difficulties, call me at any time. Good. I picked up the plough and began to turn over the soil. Da Nu's parents continued their weeding work in a short distance, while Shuanghua was watching us. Actually, it's more difficult than I imagined. In the process of digging, I encountered some difficulties, and Da Nu's father came to help me. Some land is often left unwatered, very dry and difficult to loosen. For this kind of land, we need to knock twice with the plough, knocking out cracks and then breaking through from one point to raise the whole land. Some land has weeds, which will compete with crops for nutrients. Those plants are intertwined, so we should also consider not hurting the crops when weeding. I was busy for an hour or two and finally finished all the land within an acre. Ji Ming, you did very well. Da Nu's father first inspected the land that I turned over and praised me. Thank you for your hard work. Let's eat peaches. Let's eat peaches. Da Nu's mother took out a pink peach from the basket and handed it to me. One for the goddess. No, thank you. You are the goddess in the village. Without you to pray for good weather, there'd be no harvest in successive years. This peach is very sweet. Try it, our goddess. Okay, I will. Shuanghua did not refuse again, so we ate peaches together. I took a bite of the peach, which was tender and juicy. When the pulps got through in my mouth, the sweetness melted and spread between the lips and teeth, which is very delicious. Besides, the peach is a reward for hard work. So it's even more delicious. I mean, it's true. After eating the peaches, Shuanghua and I said goodbye to Da Nu's parents. We walked and chatted along the path around the farmland. Originally, I thought Ji Ming was an outsider, so it might be difficult for him to get used to our life. Now it seems that if you want to stay in the village for a longer time, everyone will accept you. Well, it's going to take me a while to get used to it. However, I like being here. The village is very nice and the scenery is beautiful. I want to stay longer. How long is Ji Ming going to stay? I haven't decided yet. I'm probably going to stay at least 3 or 4 days. Yeah, then you should be able to catch the Peach Blossom Festival in a few days. Peach Blossom Festival? I think you mentioned it once. What kind of festival is it? Peach Blossom Festival is an annual festival. People will gather in the mountains to offer sacrifices and set up feasts. On this day, we will be grateful to our ancestors and the god Hu Yu. I will pray for good weather for the crops next year. Oh, why do we need Shuanghua to pray? According to the legend, I am a descendant of the god Hu Yu who has guided us to take refuge here thousands of years ago. The god Hu Yu can hear my response, so praying is what I should do. Okay, so that's why they call you goddess. It's really about God. Then I really want to stay a few more days with you guys in the for the Peach Blossom Festival. Well, on the day of the Peach Blossom Festival, I'll perform a dance. Ji Ming can come and see. But now I'm not fully prepared. I'll practice more these days. Yeah. Shuanghua lowered her head shyly. I feel like she's a little bit more talkative than she was yesterday. Maybe she got familiar with me and threw some precautions away. It's not polite to ask the age of a girl. I don't know the real age of Shuanghua, but I feel like we're almost the same age. Even though we grew up in two different cultures. We got familiar with each other since we're at a similar age. The fuck was that? Just as I was looking at Shuanghua and thinking, I was suddenly pushed by someone. Fortunately, the one who pushed me had less strength, so I just staggered forward and quickly maintained my balance. I was laughed by a boy when I was in a hurry. Xiao Shito, little stone, what are you doing? I heard a reproach and looked back. The little boy looked at me with a smirk on his face. It was obvious that he had no remorse for pushing me. He looks 7 or 8 years old and he's very handsome. Although he's a child, he looks a bit heroic. However, it's probably the top knot thing. However, the behaviour of pushing me from the back is no honour. Naughty kids are everywhere, no exceptions for the Peach Blossom Spring. This guest, I'm sorry for my kid's behaviour. Beside the boy stood a beautiful woman with white skin and a gentle appearance. She looked at me uneasily and shamefacedly, apologising for the child's mischief. If I remember correctly, I met her when I first came to the village. Ah, she looks about the same age as me. And she has a child? Sorry. I didn't reply immediately. She probably thought I was angry and said 2 more sorries to me with a slight bow. Villagers of the Peach Blossom Spring follow ancient courtesy rules, and the child's impoliteness makes me feel very ashamed. It's okay, it's not a big deal. You don't have to apologise like that. Children are naughty as usual. My name is Ji Ming. What's your name, please? My smile showed that I didn't mind. Indeed, I might have been angry if I'd been attacked by this child and thrown into the field, falling flop onto my face. But for today, there's no need to be angry. I am Xing, who lives in the east of the village. My name is Xiao Shito, the only son of my family. Xing? Is your full name just Xing? No, I took my husband's surname, Xing, after I married him. I only got married early. I got married early and didn't have my own name for a long time. Miss Xing explained to me. She looked about the same age as me, and the child is 7 or 8 years old, so she got married really early. Miss Xing is a good weaver in the village. Whatever mulberry, linen, or silk cloths, she could weave them very well. My clothes are also weaved by her. The women in the village often go to the weaving room and ask Miss Xing for advice on weaving skills. That's really impressive. Clothes of Shuanghua look exquisite, with fine textures. Whoever weaves this kind of clothes must be perfect in weaving. Well, weaving is the only thing I'm good at. If you're interested, you can come to my place. Yes, I will. We said goodbye to Miss Xing and her son, and then we walked on the streets of the village. Ji Ming, I'm going to practice dancing later. I can only accompany you to one place next. Where do you want to go? Let's see. I want to go somewhere beautiful. Well, I've got a place that I think you'll like. We passed through the east of the village, got into a cedar forest, and finally came to our destination. Ji Ming, almost there. Shuanghua walked straight ahead, and she took the lead out of the cedar forest. After a while of dizziness, I saw the lake of the Peach Blossom Spring. The vast mountain lake is in front of me, and my first impression is that it's very open. The breeze blew gently on the lake. The water was rippling and sparkling, and the sun adorned the surface with a few flickering light spots. What a beauty. This lake is beautiful. I looked at the undulating waves on the lake and couldn't help exclaiming. The poem by Su Shi, The Brimming Waves Delight the Eyes on Sunny Days, just described this scene. I really like the starry lake. I used to come here a lot when I was a kid. I would sit by the lake and watch other kids catch butterflies. By the way, every time that I come here, extraordinary dreams appear during sleep. Extraordinary dreams? Many times I have nightmares. I can see disgusting blood and hear terrible laughter. Nevertheless, I forget all of them when I get up. That's terrible. Any sweet dreams? Sometimes sweet. Recently, I often dream about my parents staying aside of me. I'm lying in a gorgeous palace with a bed surrounded by peach blossoms. Your parents? I didn't see them yet. They were gone. The light in her eyes dimmed a little. Sorry about that. It's okay. I almost forgot their appearances. They were killed by mountain ghosts when I was young. Mountain ghost? I suddenly noticed this word, which once was told by Kunzang. Yeah, they are monsters in the mountains who hide in the daytime and hurt people at night. They're good at disguising, turning into villagers and deceiving people's minds. Sounds scary. Fortunately, I didn't go out last night, or I might have met those mountain ghosts. Yeah, that's why I said not to go out, you idiot. I returned back to my room. Just then I talked with Shuanghua for a while at the lake. After that, she would go to practice dancing, so she left. After saying goodbye to her, I ate a meal at Kunzang's home and got back to my room. And with that, we need to wrap this episode up here because we're out of time for today. But you'll have to let me know what you guys think if you want to see more. Yeah, like I said, the translations, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's totally readable and understandable. Anyway, let me know if you want to do more or if we just want to leave it at one. There's also a DLC that comes with it that has another story that they did send over as well. So if we decide to go through the whole thing, I guess we'll do that as well. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Just let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.